So, David Beckham recently shaded estranged son Brooklyn Beckham in a recent post aimed towards his other son, Cruz Beckham, on his 21st birthday. Here is what he said. So, the part that got everyone talking about this post was that him saying considerate and fiercely loyal to your family, friends and everyone around you, which makes you a very special person. Now, people are taking this as direct shots at Brooklyn Beckham.
When did you know? But you're like, oh, hang on, no, I'm really good at this.
Probably when I finished playing.
There must have been a point when you were 11 and you scored 28 goals, or...
No, because my dad was so tough on me as a young kid. He very rarely turned around to me and said, well done, boy, you did well today, you played well, until my 100th cap.
When your dad's one of the fiercest athletes to ever hit the spotlight, messing up doesn't just hurt, it crashes into you like a truck. And right now, that's exactly what's happening to Brooklyn Beckham. This isn't some cute little family drama. It's a full-on storm of pressure, pride, and privilege colliding hard with cold reality. Those picture-perfect Beckham smiles, they're starting to fade fast, and the gloss of that famous last name is cracking right in front of everyone's eyes. The Beckhams might be keeping quiet in public, but that silence? It's screaming, especially from David Beckham himself, who's clearly letting his moves and subtle digs do all the talking. Brooklyn keeps saying he's out here finding his own way, chasing freedom and proving he's not just his dad's son. But come on, David's every look, every slick post, every carefully chosen word says he's not buying it. The tension's heating up fast, and no amount of family PR polish can hide it. David's not openly throwing shade, but when he talks about earning your wins, owning your mistakes, and grinding for what you want, those words cut deep. Coming from a man who built an empire through pure sweat, discipline, and hustle. That doesn't sound like gentle fatherly advice. It sounds like a quiet judgment that hits harder than any headline. Brooklyn keeps talking about being independent, but his journey's been one wild mess. Projects started with hype, then dropped without warning. Dreams half-baked, chances handed to him not through grind, but because of that golden last name.
So far, Brooklyn has not responded to his father David Beckham's post, which indirectly shades him. He has been very quiet online about it.
Beckham, and now, the world's watching close, waiting to see if he can finally show he's more than just his dad's legacy. The gap between who he says he is and what's really happening. It's never looked this huge. While Brooklyn's trying to prove he's got it on his own, David and Victoria just pulled a move that's straight up cold, but clever. They've officially stopped shielding him. No more hiding mistakes, no more cozy protection bubble. They're letting the world see every crack and stumble in real time. And it's harsh. The shift in the Beckham family dynamic is clear, and so is where the spotlight's pointing now. All eyes and all parental support are locked on the kids who are actually putting in work. Romeo Beckham's out here owning the fashion scene like a pro, walking top runways and landing huge campaigns like he's been doing this forever. Then there's Cruz Beckham, diving headfirst into music, releasing tracks, performing live, and hustling hard to make his name stand on its own. These two are showing hunger, focus, and pure drive, and their parents see it loud and clear. Even though the family stays silent about Brooklyn's constant, I'm doing my own thing talk, that silence speaks volumes. The non-stop love they show Romeo and Cruz, that's not coincidence, it's strategy. This is classic David Beckham playbook energy, polished, precise, and painfully effective. Just like in business, sports, and life itself, David Beckham's rulebook never changes. Show up, work hard, take your hits, and finish strong. In his world, nobody waits for someone who quits halfway, period. Sadly, that's exactly what Brooklyn's starting to get known for. His first big move? Football. The family's golden legacy. He had world-class training, the best coaches, every door wide open for him to win. But instead of building on that empire, it all slipped through his fingers. Everyone was left asking what happened after all those dream-level chances. Brooklyn never made it past the youth stage. No pro contract, no major team, no real breakthrough. It's like the dream ended before it even had a chance to breathe. Then came his next big shot, photography. Another glittery door swung open, huge fashion collabs, a sleek photo. Book deal, elite art programs, the kind of stuff people grind years for just to get a foot in the door. But again, the same story played out. Big start, Loud hype, early praise, and then silence. Every flashy project launched with sparks but fizzled out just as fast, left hanging unfinished and forgotten. And just when everyone thought Brooklyn had finally found his groove, he flipped the script again. Suddenly, he's in the kitchen, branding himself as a celebrity chef. His rise went viral overnight. TV spots popping up, fancy cooking clips flooding social media, and picture-perfect kitchen setups making him look like a pro. But behind all that shine, not everything added up. The fame looked hot on the surface, but the cracks were already starting to show, and people were definitely noticing. The spotlight was blazing hot, and for a moment, it looked like Brooklyn Beckham had finally found his groove. But then, the truth hit hard. He openly admitted he had zero formal culinary training, no chef degree, not even real kitchen experience. Still, somehow, major media outlets hyped him like the next big name in food. But the critics weren't having it. They came swinging, ripping apart his recipes, calling out his weak skills, and dragging his cooking clips all over social media. And instead of fighting back or proving them wrong, Brooklyn slowly faded out again, slipping from the spotlight just as fast as he entered it. Another dream, half-cooked and left cold on the counter. Then came the next twist, entrepreneurship. Out of nowhere, Brooklyn popped up promoting his own hot sauce line, teasing sleek design collabs, and even hinting about opening a restaurant. Each new project was hyped like this was finally the one, the passion he'd stick with for good.
As Brooklyn Beckham, since the whole drama of the whole wedding with Victoria and David and talking out publicly against his parents David and Victoria Beckham, he has been labelled as not loyal to the Beckham legacy, and this is why everyone is taking what David Beckham was saying in that post as a direct jab towards Brooklyn.
But over time, fans started spotting the pattern, and it wasn't pretty. There was no real growth, no steady progress, just the same loop. Big talk, loud launch, quiet, ending. What started as passion began to look more like a hobby wrapped in hype. People began saying it straight, that this wasn't about talent or hustle anymore. It was about privilege, plain and simple. That nepo baby label that used to sound like a harmless joke, it started feeling real. And honestly, it's not like Brooklyn lacked chances. He's had it all. Money, fame, and one of the most powerful last names in the world. The missing piece, critics say, and maybe even his own parents quietly agree, is consistency. That hunger to finish what you start. And that's exactly why David Beckham's recent interviews hit so hard. When asked about parenting and dealing with mistakes, he didn't sugarcoat or make excuses. He laid it out raw, talking about discipline, accountability, and learning to own your failures like a grown-up. His tone wasn't angry. It was firm, grounded, and dripping with disappointment that says more than words ever could. David's tone wasn't angry. It was razor-sharp, grounded, and impossible to misunderstand. He made his point crystal clear. Messing up is human, sure, but that doesn't mean you get a free pass. Every choice comes with a cost, and sometimes the toughest lessons don't come from strangers. They come from the people who love you the most. Independence isn't about shouting how free you are. It's about proving it, day after day, through what you actually do. And that's where the truth about Brooklyn Beckham hits hard. He calls his distance from the family freedom, but deep down, everyone can see it. He's still living wrapped in the safety net that his last name built. The empire that keeps him protected, cushioned, and comfortable. Yeah, he's surrounded by luxury, mansions, designer clothes, private jets. But when it comes to work, things get messy. His career path keeps flipping like a coin, never landing on solid ground. That's why there's a quiet but heavy question floating in the air, the kind that no one says out loud, but everyone's thinking. Even David Beckham himself might be asking it behind closed doors. What happens if Nicola Peltz ever walks away? Because right now, Brooklyn's entire lifestyle is tied to that marriage, emotionally, socially, financially, and even professionally. Nicola's family isn't just rich, they're powerful. Their connections stretch deep. Their name carries serious weight, almost matching the Beckham legacy in influence and reputation. Together, they make a flashy, unstoppable power couple. But take that away, and what's left for Brooklyn? No firm career, no steady income, and nothing he's built fully on his own 2 feet. It's the kind of reality check that even fame can't soften. And that's what makes this whole story sting. That's the cold truth no one in Brooklyn's circle wants to say out loud, but critics sure are saying it for them, and those comparisons, they sting. Romeo Beckham locked in on fashion early and never looked back. He trained hard, took every bit of criticism straight on, and came back sharper every single season. He's earned his stripes through hustle, patience, and relentless work. No handouts, no shortcuts, just real grind. That's the kind of difference that makes the tension between the brothers impossible to ignore. While one is building his lane brick by brick, the other's still wandering, looking for a road that'll finally hold steady. Then there's Cruz Beckham, who carved out his own path completely. Instead of jumping from one random project to another, he focused. He's writing his own music, performing live, and hitting stages to build a genuine fan base. One song, one show at a time. No fake hype, no sudden rebrands, just long nights, steady effort, and visible growth. Every win feels earned, not gifted. And when Cruz or Romeo reach a new milestone, their parents make sure the world notices.
That was the first time my dad turned around to me and said, "You've made it, boy." It was the moment that we were sat at dinner and he put his arm around me, and it makes me emotional. But he put his arm around me and he said, "You made it, boy."
Victoria Beckham's social media posts about her sons aren't just proud mom moments. They're messages. Every picture, every caption is like a subtle announcement saying, these are the kids doing it right. They're out here walking the talk, putting in real work, and earning every bit of their shine. Not just coasting on the Beckham name. Those posts hit harder than any statement because they scream something deeper than simple family pride. They're quiet proof of what the Beckhams truly value: grind, focus, and discipline. And in that silent comparison, the message couldn't be clearer. In this family, hustle speaks louder than fame. And when it comes to real achievement, you can bet Brooklyn noticed. How could he not? The internet sure did, and his name started trending for all the wrong reasons. While Brooklyn's reputation was taking hits online, the rest of the Beckham clan stood tall, tight, confident, and completely unbothered. They showed up united at big events, dominated Fashion Week, and celebrated wins that actually meant something. Their energy screamed success. No drama, no excuses, just results. That silence from the family, powerful. It said more than any statement or interview ever could. A quiet but bold message to the world. Life doesn't wait for excuses, and it sure doesn't reward empty talk. It rewards work. David Beckham's never been about shortcuts, not once. His entire legacy was built on discipline, sacrifice, and grit, taking every hit, getting back up, and pushing forward no matter how tough the climb got. To David, success isn't some shiny family heirloom you pass down like jewelry. It's something you earn every single day through sweat and determination. And that's where the truth cuts deepest. Brooklyn hasn't earned it yet. He keeps saying he wants independence, wants to step out of his parents' spotlight, wants to prove himself. But his version of freedom looks a lot more like comfort than courage. Because here's the real deal. Freedom without responsibility isn't independence. It's just a bubble. A soft, safe, privilege-filled bubble that shields you from the grind of the real world. And maybe that's what burns most for David Beckham. Watching his son coast on everything he fought so hard to build from nothing. This isn't just a little family tension. It's a quiet, but fierce clash of values. Legacy versus lifestyle. Hard work versus handouts. And behind all the smiles, that silent battle is louder than ever. David Beckham's not the kind of man to blow up in public, but don't ever mistake his silence for weakness. What makes this situation so intense isn't just what Brooklyn's been saying, it's what his parents haven't. No angry interviews, no messy PR spins, no harsh public clapbacks. Instead, David and Victoria pulled the coldest move in the book. They went quiet, stood firm, and let their success speak louder than any words ever could. But don't think for a second they were just sitting back doing nothing. That silence, it was strategy. They doubled down on everything they believe in: loyalty, hard work, and consistency. By saying nothing, they made it crystal clear who in the family actually lives by those values. The internet's been dissecting every moment of their quiet stance. Some call it icy, others say it's pure genius. But one thing's for sure. Inside the Beckham household, silence isn't weakness, it's power. It's the Beckham way of speaking without saying a single word. And if anyone knows how to play the media game, it's David Beckham. He survived decades of headlines, scandals, and global judgment, all while keeping his composure and protecting his empire. If he wanted this drama gone, it'd vanish overnight. One emotional interview, one heartfelt quote, boom, the story would fade instantly. But David didn't take that route, and that choice says everything. By staying silent, he handed the mic to Brooklyn.
And that was the first time he really kind of acknowledged, the career that I'd had.
Do you wonder if that's the reason for your relentless nature?
100%. Throughout my career, I went through certain moments, kind of moments that could have knocked me and made me think, you know what, why am I playing this game? All of those moments where my dad was hard on me as a kid, there was a reason for it. That if my dad wasn't as tough with me as he was, I might not have been able to get through those moments.
And that move screams confidence, not fear. Because when Brooklyn started venting and airing his frustrations, he didn't drop any wild family secrets or expose deep betrayals. What he really revealed was way more personal. Years of bottled-up resentment, built on missed chances, fading ambition, and the constant pressure of never quite measuring up. At this point, it's no longer about control or family image. It's about emotion, pride, and the unspoken pain between a father who built everything from nothing and a son still trying to figure out how to stand on his own. This whole thing isn't just about family drama anymore. It's about consequences. Brooklyn keeps calling it freedom, saying he's carving his own path, finally breaking out on his terms. But when you really look at the timeline, it doesn't add up. He didn't step away with a game plan, a strong career move, or even a clear sense of direction. He just walked off and called that independence. He's created distance, emotionally, publicly, symbolically. But let's be honest, distance isn't the same as direction. You can walk away from your family's shadow all you want, but if you don't know where you're going, that so-called freedom doesn't mean much. And for someone like David Beckham, that truth hits deep. His entire legacy was built under pressure, real pressure. The man lived his whole career in the spotlight, taking hits from every angle and never once running from it. Instead of letting it crush him, he used it, turned that heat into fuel, that criticism into focus, that pressure into power. That's the real difference right there. One learned from the fire, the other keeps trying to escape it. David Beckham's standard has always been the same. No shortcuts, no pity, no easy way out. And that's exactly what he expects from his son, to rise up, take the hits, and keep moving. People forget what David's been through. He's been booed by his own fans, slammed by brutal headlines, and torn apart by the media when the entire country turned on him. He's been humiliated on the global stage, blamed for losses that crushed national pride. And still, he didn't fold. He didn't hide. He came back stronger, sharper, tougher. He trained harder, pushed further, and rebuilt himself brick by brick until the same people who once dragged him were standing and cheering his name again. That's not just redemption, that's resilience. And for David, that's the only definition of success that counts. That relentless mindset, that's what defines David Beckham. It's the standard he lives by, the rhythm he breathes, the code he bleeds for. So when he watches Brooklyn bouncing from football to photography, then to cooking, and now to branding, never sticking around long enough to master anything, it's not just frustrating for him. It's heartbreaking. The issue isn't that Brooklyn failed, it's that he quit. Every time things get tough, he pivots, rebrands, and expects applause just for starting something new. And that's what really stings. What cuts even deeper is the lack of endurance behind all that noise. Even the projects he still has going seem to lean more on fame than on skill. Those cooking clips that go viral, they're trending not because the food's groundbreaking, but because the name Beckham guarantees clicks. His products, they sell, but not because of grind or innovation. More because that last name still opens every door. The appearances, the invites, the glossy opportunities, they're all powered by connections, not sweat. And that's where the Nepo baby label hits with full force. Because nepotism might open doors, yeah, but it won't keep them open forever. Eventually, the work has to stand on its own. Brooklyn's not the first celebrity kid to ride the wave of family fame, but he's fast becoming the clearest example of what happens when privilege outruns persistence. The name gets you noticed, but only the grind earns respect. Other celebrity kids in similar spots, actors, designers, musicians, entrepreneurs, they pick a lane and grind hard. They take the legacy they inherited and build something real on top of it. And that's what's missing here. Brooklyn's been handed the tools, the platform, the golden last name. But without that same fire his dad built his empire with, every shiny new project just ends up as another unfinished headline. They fall, they learn, and they grow right in front of the world. That's what real progress looks like. Every project, every flop, every comeback tells a story of evolution. But Brooklyn, he keeps smashing that restart button like it's his personal safety net, one that never breaks. And that net isn't made from hustle or hard lessons. It's stitched together with his parents' fame, his wife's fortune, and the cozy comfort of knowing that no matter what happens, failure will never hit him like it hits everyone else. And that's exactly where the spotlight swings right back to Nicola Peltz. Brooklyn's made it crystal clear. His marriage isn't just part of his life. It is his life right now. He credits Nicola for everything. His peace, his confidence, even his so-called independence. But critics, and honestly maybe even his parents, see something deeper, something risky, hiding behind that picture-perfect love story. Because let's be real, independence that leans too heavy on someone else, that's not freedom, that's dependence dressed up as confidence. If Nicola's the one holding the emotional balance, providing financial stability, and giving social cover, then where's Brooklyn's true autonomy in all that? Where's his foundation? And the biggest question no one wants to ask out loud. What happens if that relationship hits a bump, a break, or even an ending? That's not gossip, that's a real concern. Because right now, it seems like Brooklyn's entire identity is tied to who's standing beside him, not who he is when he's standing alone. Meanwhile, David Beckham didn't earn his freedom through comfort. He built it through pain, grit, and relentless work. Every bruise, every headline, every public failure shaped him into the man who stands unshakable today. And for a father who fought his way up from nothing, watching his son live wrapped in safety while calling it freedom has to sting in a way words can't describe. David Beckham never stood in anyone's shadow. He built his own light, brick by brick, mistake by mistake. Every setback, every failure, every lesson carved out the man he became. His legacy wasn't handed down or borrowed. It was earned through sweat, discipline, and consistency. That's what real independence looks like. And that's exactly why the gap between Brooklyn and his younger brothers feels so painfully clear. Romeo Beckham didn't just stroll into fashion expecting applause, he worked for it. He showed up to every casting, every runway, every fashion week, season after season, city after city, proving he belonged in an industry that shows no mercy. Fashion doesn't care about your last name. If you can't deliver, you're gone. But Romeo? He's been delivering. He's earning respect one catwalk at a time, not because of his family name, but because of his grind, his style, and his discipline. Then there's Cruz Beckham, a whole different lane, but the same fierce focus. He could have treated music like a rich kid hobby, but he didn't. He locked in like it was his calling, writing his own songs, rehearsing nonstop, performing live, and building something real. No gimmicks, no empty hype, just raw effort, steady growth, and serious dedication. Every note, every performance screams authenticity, and people are starting to notice. So when David and Victoria go online cheering for Romeo and Cruz, it's not just proud parent energy, it's strategy. Every post, every caption, every photo feels deliberate, sending one clear message without saying a single word. This is what they value: hard work, focus, and results. The Beckhams don't reward talk, they reward action. And in that quiet show of support, they're drawing a line, separating the ones chasing validation from the ones earning it. These are the ones earning their shine. And it's not about favoritism. It's about alignment. David and Victoria Beckham aren't choosing favorites. They're standing behind the kids who show up.
Are your kids, are they proud that their dad is David Beckham?
I always thought they were, until I obviously take my eldest, Brooklyn, who's 16 in March. I take him to school, and he says to me, "Daddy, park around the corner." He tells me to park him around the corner, and then he gets out and he walks around to his school. So he did it to me the other day after doing it about 5 times on the trot. So I'm driving round and he's just walking in his school, and I opened the window, I said, "Brooklyn, I love you." And, obviously it didn't go down very well.
No.
Grind hard and actually work. they're rewarding effort, not excuses. And deep down, Brooklyn feels that shift. He sees it, because inside the Beckham household, love might be unconditional, but respect? That's something you've got to earn, inch by inch, through action. And that's exactly why Brooklyn's frustration finally exploded, loud, messy, and public for the whole world to see. When he accused his parents of controlling the story and caring more about image than truth, it was a cry that came from somewhere real, but also somewhere confused. He wasn't totally wrong, but he wasn't completely right either. The Beckhams have always cared about image. That's not a secret. But for them, image doesn't mean fake smiles and perfect photo ops. In their world, image means discipline, consistency, and results. It's not about saying who you are. It's about proving it every single day through your choices and your grind. Brooklyn, though, seems to want recognition without the receipts, praise without progress, freedom without accountability. But that's not how David Beckham operates. Not now, not ever. He built his legacy through blood, sweat, and public criticism. So, he knows exactly what real work looks like. And he's not about to bend the rules just because his son doesn't like the pressure. What makes this whole situation hit harder isn't what David said, it's what he didn't. He didn't blast Brooklyn in public, didn't deny his feelings, didn't throw shade or clap back with anger. Instead, he showed masterclass level restraint. His silence wasn't coldness, it was context. David handled the whole thing with perspective, not pride, subtly flipping Brooklyn's meltdown from a headline-grabbing scandal into a real-life lesson about growing up. He reminded everyone that kids stumble, they make mistakes, they get lost, but that's part of the process. Still, he made one thing perfectly clear. One emotional outburst doesn't define Brooklyn, but it also doesn't erase accountability. That quiet approach said more than any speech ever could. It was a father saying, "I love you, but you still have to own it." And in the Beckham world, that's what maturity really looks like. Not a show for the cameras, but the strength to face your own truth. You can't burn bridges and then call it growth. That's not maturity, that's avoidance. And while Brooklyn keeps hiding behind his silence, trying to sell it off as strength, his actions are telling a whole different story. They reveal someone still searching for direction, for identity, for a purpose that isn't chained to a famous last name or borrowed legacy. He's not there yet, not even close. But the world's watching to see if he ever gets there, not through privilege, but through fire. Because until that moment comes, the criticism isn't slowing down one bit. Let's be honest, Brooklyn Beckham isn't being measured by the same standards as everyone else. The world isn't judging him on effort. They're comparing him to a legacy that's nearly impossible to live up to. He's being weighed against the empire his father built, not the one he's built for himself. People see the money, the access, the endless head start, and they expect results that match. But right now, the results just don't add up to the resources. And that's what keeps the conversation alive. The world expected a Beckham-level success story, but all it's getting is a highlight reel of half-finished beginnings. David Beckham knows that kind of pressure better than anyone. He's been through it. Decades of headlines, critics, and constant doubt. He fought his way out of every insult, every public humiliation, until even his harshest critics had to respect his grind. He didn't beg for validation. He earned it, one hard-earned comeback at a time. He learned early that respect isn't something you inherit. It's something you bleed for. And deep down, that's probably what David always wanted for Brooklyn, to find that inner drive on his own, without being pushed or protected. But watching his son struggle to grasp that same fire must hit deep, because for David, success was never about being born into greatness. It was about earning it through the pain. But instead of real growth, Brooklyn chose distance. And distance without direction? That's danger, because freedom without foundation isn't power. It's just drift. That's why this whole Beckham family tension doesn't feel like gossip anymore. It feels like a reckoning, a turning point where privilege finally hits its ceiling, and the only thing left that counts is effort. This is what it looks like when fame stops protecting you, and hard work becomes the only currency that really matters. The truth is, Brooklyn can still flip this story around. He's young, connected, and has every tool at his fingertips to build something real. Something that's his, not borrowed, not branded, not handed down. But that kind of transformation doesn't happen on camera. It takes humility, patience, and long stretches of silent grind when nobody's cheering, nobody's watching, and nobody's clapping just because your name's famous. Until that day comes, David Beckham's silence keeps saying it all. Calm, firm, and impossible to ignore. Because inside that house, love might be unconditional, but respect, that's something you earn, one hard day at a time. Respect isn't inherited. It's earned through mistakes, rebuilds, and comebacks that show real growth. That's the kind of success no money can buy, no fame can fake, and no last name can guarantee. Right now, Brooklyn Beckham stands at a crossroads. One path paved with comfort, the other with grind. Which one he chooses next could define everything. Will he keep floating on privilege or finally dig deep and prove he's got that same fire his dad built an empire with? Because this isn't just a story about family tension. It's about legacy, identity, and what happens when the world stops clapping and starts expecting. So what do you think? Is Brooklyn just misunderstood, still trying to find his lane? Or is he simply not putting in the real work yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment if you want more deep dives into the stories behind the headlines. Your support keeps the truth loud and the conversations real.